Okay, live stream started. First Monday of the month of August. Had a good weekend and looking forward to making some gains on this account this week. So I've got a new piece of kit to play with that I'm actually quite excited about, which is basically just a software overlay on my brokerage's trading platform. I found that the platform on TD365 to be a bit clunky, and I think that this new overlay that is seen here at the top is going to make life a heck of a lot easier. So just getting ready for EU session. Markets will open in about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. So I forgot to do a screen transition there. So it's basically this overlay here is what I was talking about. So that should enable me to place market orders and pending orders a little bit easier. And then I also have a bit of a signal service that works through this overlay. And those signals are based around the strategies that I'm currently using. So that should make life slightly easier. I won't have to draw in any more lines or anything like that. So I've just been through all of the settings. I've put my P&L to display in points. I don't really want it to display in a dollar value, because I think that's where you start getting emotionally attached. So I'd rather just see it in points. So I've been through all the settings, all very cool. I'm looking forward to these colors because I find when I place an order through the platform, I get these random colors that it chooses that I can't see very well on the charts themselves. So I was able to put a color preset in, which is something I'm very excited about. But it's quite nice because we can see our current orders and positions. We've got a market explorer that I can use directly on the charts. Usually I have to go actually back to the account and open up a new chart from there. And then I've also got an economic calendar, which is cool. Says there's a bit of news out today in the US. So, and then I basically just preset my position size, my stop loss, and so on. So looking forward to playing with this new toy today. I think it'll be good. Alright, so I'm going to go down to the 5-minute charts on each. Trading the DAX and the FTSE. Okay, so markets have opened. Come on, chart. Load up. Hello. Okay, there we go. Good stuff. So right off the bat, I'm looking for this opening bar to be negative. If it is, potentially have a trade there. So we'll see what happens. I'm just going to make sure that everything is good. Everything is good. So this is the reason that I trade with TD365 is these spreads. And these are fixed spreads, they're not floating. So during market hours, that spread never changes. So it's a 0.9 spread on the DAX and a 0.6 spread on the FTSE, which is great. Okay. So in this little tab, basically the signals will come through here, and depending on which strategy I want to utilize and what's setting up, I'll actually just be able to click on that specific setup and it'll kind of chart it on put it on the charts for me. and then I just have to basically say whether I want to trade it or not. But we'll get to see how that works when the signal bars start to set up. But I'm just having a look, and I've got a countdown timer as well, which is also great. So I've got the Earl Grey. Woke up this morning feeling fresh-ish. Had a workout, had a shower. Try to clear the mind as much as possible. Pretty standard weekend, didn't get up too much. Did a bit of study. And I found myself yesterday being hooked on a series called Wall Street Warriors. So I think I binge watched the first 3 seasons throughout the course of yesterday afternoon and evening. Found it quite interesting. Okay, so a minute and 20 seconds left of the first bar. If this one closes negative, then I'm going to look at a long position. Basically just want to see the market push below the low of the opening candle and then look to take a long position. And the reason for that is just basically, it's basically looking at statistical analysis and seeing how many times the FTSE opens with the first bar negative and what tends to happen if the first bar is negative. And you'll find a lot of the times from a statistical point of view that if it's a first bar negative, you tend to see the second bar be positive. So we'll look to buy it up if it is negative. Okay, 15 seconds left of this candle. Let's see. Okay, so first bar is negative. And there we go. You see here that the orders come up. So first bar negative. If I click the little eyeball icon here, it'll bring it up on the chart as to if I want to get into the trade, this is where it would be. And if I click on trade, then it'll put in a pending order there for me. So that's fantastic. So if we do get to a point where price comes down and just breaks this candle's low, I will look to get long. So I think I will click on that. And the order's been created. And then we can see there's the buy order. Has it placed my stop loss? Okay, so it hasn't placed the stop loss. So what I'm going to do is input a stop of 20 points there. And we'll save it. There we go. Okay, so there's a 20-point stop loss on that. What I can do is actually click on this button and modify the stop loss if needed. But I think we'll leave it at about 20 points. So let's see. What we can do is we can get rid of this. What did DAX do? DAX opened first bar positive. Yeah. So I would have liked to have this a little bit closer just to make sure that we got filled, because it kind of just got down to this low and then pulled back. may have missed that one. I actually might just bring this up a little bit tighter. Okay, so just to make sure that that order is actually in place, there it is there. So far so good with the software. See if we can actually get this order filled. Pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. What are we looking at from a structure point of view here? Okay. So we could possibly see a bit of a bounce off of these levels here if we were to get filled. Not a position that I think I'm going to keep open for a long time. Okay, so we have been filled. There we go, great. So I want to see it, you know, bounce off of this level up about 10 or so points, and then I'll move my stop loss to break even. Which I think I do by double clicking. Yes, so if I double click that, it'll move the stop loss to break even. Also quite nice. Okay, so there's our 10 points. Let's double click that. And stop loss is now at break even. That's fantastic. Like I say, I don't think I'm going to be in this one for very long because we are looking quite weak. I might just take that there. A quick 15 points. So, just as a start, get that prior bar low and first trade of the day, put some points on the board, and then move on to the main strategies after this. But you basically see how that works. First bar negative by just under the first bar's low. And that's it, all said and done. So we did, what did we do? Let's see. We did 13 and a half points on that. So not very impressive because of the size that I'm trading, but unfortunately I've got a very small account, so I've got to be mindful of my risk. So that's the way that I like to trade first bar negative. I know that typically, according to the strategy rules, one should stay in for as long as possible. I like to get it into profit, let it run for a little bit, and then get out just as a warm-up trade. Get all the jitters out the way. It's not really a position in this strategy that I look to hold for very long. But having said that, you know, the market can do anything, so it can obviously rally from here. but just as a first morning trade, I like to get in and get out on that specific strategy. Let's see what the DAX is doing. And just to add to that point, I've seen a lot of times on first bar negative where it'll kind of go in your favor for 15, 20 points, and in a weak market like this, it can turn around quite quickly and continue to the downside. So I want to get my stop loss to break even as soon as possible, and if it'll give me 10 to 15 points, I'll usually take it. I treat it as more of a scalping method than I think what it's supposed to be used as. But you know, that's taking a strategy and it's adapting it to what you feel comfortable with and your style of trading. But just as long as you predefine those rules to yourself using that strategy beforehand, so you don't start making it up on the fly. Because that's, I think, where you can start finding yourself in a little bit of trouble. So now again we're starting to see a breakdown. I think if we can get under these levels, yeah, there we go. DAX is also looking quite weak. Pretty much in the same boat as the FTSE. So when we start getting to around the first 20 odd minutes of trading, we'll have our next opportunity. Yeah, looking quite weak today. Oh, it is still early, so let's see. So this is our signal candle that's starting to form. So the software unfortunately only works with TD365. Still a few minutes left of this candle, so be interesting to see how it prints. Inside bar at the moment on the DAX. I've been told that my charts aren't very nice looking, like the color scheme. But there's a reason for that. The traditional white background I find to be very bright. It starts hurting my eyes. And the dark background I don't like either, so I went for this kind of grey. It's just a little bit easier on the eyes when you're sitting and staring at charts for a good amount of time. And I like the black and the white candles as opposed to the the traditional red and green. But I've seen so many different variations of colors before. I suppose it's what suits you. Okay. Quite a strong retracement. That's 40 seconds left of this candle, and we will have our setups. Okay, signals should start coming through. There we go. And there it is. So if I just plot that, and I plot these. So this is the ASRS strategy. Oh, that's still the DAX. I want to do the FTSE. I think we'll trade that. And we'll trade this. Okay, so we're in on the DAX. Haven't got a stop loss, so I may need to modify that over here. So I'll make that 40 points away. Submit. Okay, so there's our stop, which technically needs to be all the way down here. That's a little bit more risk than I would like. So let me see if I can, well, if the market will allow us to get our stop loss to break even. Okay, so we got only on the DAX at the moment have we got the aggressive school run, so signals coming through anyway. Okay, so there we are, 10, 11 points in profit. That happened quite suddenly, so now it's pulling back slightly, so I'm going to let it get to about 15 or so points before I move my stop loss, I think. Just give it a little bit more room. Although with this risk I'd like to get it up there quite quickly. I think let's get it up there now. $25 points, 26 points, 25 points. I think 30 points on the DAX is a good number, but let's just have a look and see what it does. A little bit of structure up here that I'm a little bit worried about. May move our stop loss up a little bit more. 35 points, 33 points. Yeah, I would expect there to be some sellers in this area over here, so I think I'm going to take the profit there. So what was that? Okay, so another $15 there. Let's just make sure we've got no open orders. No. Okay. Yeah, so I expected to see a few sellers kind of at this level. Prior bar high. Okay, so next strategy involves the 15-minute candle. A little bit more risk associated with this candle. I might not trade it on the DAX because 150 points is a little bit outside of my risk profile. The FTSE, give or take 50 points, little bit more acceptable if I do it on half a position size. Well, let's see what the setup looks like once it's printed. We got about 4.5 minutes left of this 15-minute bar. But so far so good. What is that? So about 30 points there, 13 points there, so 43 and a bit points on the morning. That's okay. It's not a bad morning. Again, it's not very impressive because of the dollar value associated with those points, but if you look at only counting the points, I don't think that's a bad morning. Because again, if you allocate a dollar value to it, it becomes emotional. So I'm trying not to do that. But $28 on a $700 account, $800 account, that's not doing too bad, I don't think. Yeah, so a bit of a pullback now. So there were definitely buyers up at this level. Sellers, not buyers, excuse me. Wow. So what I'll do is, I don't think I'm going to trade this next strategy just because of the risk profile, but I will pull up the alerts on the chart just so that I have a reference to come back to as to what actually happened on the trade. If I were to have taken it. But again, I'm probably not, just because of the risk profile. But it's nice to see how the strategy would have performed. Building confidence in your strategy constantly. Stops you from shopping around for something new and exciting. I think also a very big mistake to make. Try a strategy for a certain amount of time, it doesn't work to your expectations, and then you go and swap. But what kind of got to understand is it shouldn't be looked at on a trade by trade basis. It's how it performs over a period of, or a number of trades. Okay, so we're breaking down further in the FTSE. New lows on the day. I wonder why the signal for ASRS didn't come up for the FTSE. It only came up for the DAX. So I've got a little bit more playing to do. Okay, so signals are being received. Let's see. So SRS DAX. Okay, so again, it hasn't come up for the FTSE. But I'll tell you what, there we go. Okay, so there are our lines already plotted on the chart for us. That's so nice. You don't have to do anything. Obviously these aren't orders, it's just showing you where the entries are, and if I wanted to take them as orders I would just click on trade. So nothing through on the FTSE. Okay. Let's have a look and see how it would have played out. I'm not going to take this trade. I just don't like the risk profile. No open orders, that's good. Okay, so the strategy here also on the FTSE would call for a short below the low of this candle and a long above the high. So a little bit aggressive on the entry here, and a little bit conservative over here. I would have liked to have seen it a little bit further down. Can I actually grab this line? I don't know if I can. Scared that if I click on that it's going to trade it. I would think that this this entry would be probably 5 or so points above the high of this candle, so about 6.4, 6.3 for a long, and I'd say probably 100 for a short. So these entries are, I think, a little bit off. Might have just been the way that it plotted it. Maybe if I do this, let me see what it says. If I do that, will it plot it again? No. Okay. Double click. Hello. Yeah, so kind of the same place. So 17261. 1.3, let's go. Okay. So I'm just reading the paperwork on the software. I want to be 100% familiar with it. So we haven't got any SRS signals on the FTSE, so I'm just going to stick in lines as to where I would take it. Let's do that line again, I think. Let's make it nice and fat so we can see it properly. Okay, so I'm just gonna plot them in for now and then just have a look at the highs and lows of this bar. So 26, we would enter at around probably 21.20, somewhere around there. So probably, no, I lied to you, sorry. High is 04, so no, high is 26, so we'd go around 30 for a long position. I must still be half asleep, I don't know what I'm talking about. And 79.70 on the low, so we would look at probably about 6.5, I think, is a good place. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah, so those are the areas that I would look at for a trigger, either long or short, if it broke either of these lines. Okay, let's see what happens. A little bit of a range-bound DAX at the moment, looks like. As well as the FTSE. Wonder if we're going to range here for a bit before we see a break. Market's deciding what it wants to do. Does it want to go higher? Does it want to go lower? Price never lies. I don't know if I'm going to take this FTSE SRS 66. Yeah. If I had a bigger account, I probably would. But I've got to be a bit conservative with my account, given its size. If the risk was a bit better, I'd definitely look at it. I'd probably take it, but the risk is a little bit out of my price range. Not going to do anything silly. Just made 34 points. I don't want to go and risk 66 points on the FTSE and over 100 points on the DAX. Generally not the most ideal mindset to have, but we're in this for the long run. If something sets up with a little bit of a better risk profile, I'll have a look. So that's a note to myself. Doesn't make for the most exciting of videos when market is in a range, but this is what trading is about. Sitting and watching and being patient and waiting. I think, and I may be wrong, but I don't think signals came through for the ASRS and the SRS for the FTSE because the software is under the impression that you're still in the first bar negative trade. I think. I don't know. I could be wrong. We are still sort of in that price range if you were still in the first bar negative. So on this bar, yeah, you'd still be in the range. And you'd be profitable unless you were taken out on your stop here if you're a bit tight. My stop was 20 away, so I would have been stopped out. Also, that's assuming that you didn't move your stop to break even on this push back up to here. I like to kind of get into a risk-free trade as quickly as possible. Now, sometimes that's going to work in your favor, and sometimes it's not, because sometimes the market can come back and stop you out for break even and then carry on its merry way, the way that you're expecting without you. Okay, so just playing in this range at the moment. Let's see. Going to take a quick bathroom break. This Earl Grey has gone straight through me, so I'll be right back. And I'm back. Okay. What are we looking at? Okay, so we're coming up against a bit of support at this level over here, right at the 8,000. Do we bounce or do we push through? Yeah, so these are slightly off because the strategy we should have been long now. So first bar, second bar. do it so that we can see it. A few points above. So we'd be in it long now. Okay, so now it's updated. All right. Okay. Yeah. So we would have been long. We would have been long now. FTSE. Not as yet. Perhaps it's something to do with these drawing tools, because as soon as I go out, yeah, it shifts. Okay, that's interesting. I'm gonna let the developers know about that one. But essentially 40 points in profit already, if we had taken it. Stop loss would have been at break even. Again, can't have any hard feelings about it. It did what the strategy kind of said it would do, but not going to have any hard feelings because I'm not in the trade. It was the decision that I made based off of the risk profile. But we would basically have a risk-free trade at the moment. I mean, that's looking at it in hindsight. At the time, we never know. It could have triggered us in and gone back down to test the lows and stopped us out for a loser that I can't afford to take. We might be taken out for break even if we were in it now. Almost. Let's just see. Yep, taken out for break even. Okay, so wouldn't have won or lost anything there, but at its best we would have seen about 50, 53, 52 pips, and the likelihood of taking profit right at the top of that candle is not very likely. So I think that would have been a break-even trade. Another question is, do you take it again? No. Not in my book. So I'm trying to, from a psychological level, get to a position where I'm letting the winners run as much as possible. Not cut them short. So in this case, I think it would have just been a break-even trade. Other two, I closed the positions for a good reason, because of previous structure, not out of fear that it was going to come and turn around and stop me out. There was method to it. So, but I'm trying to let the trade run for as long as possible, as long as there's no good reason to cut it short. I don't want fear to be the reason as to why I'm cutting the trade short. So on the 5-minute chart, one could argue that again it was testing the highs. And that's why we've seen a bit of a pullback. But how is the FTSE doing? FTSE is still range bound. I mean, it's toying with the idea of rallying, but I still think we're quite weak. This office chair is making more and more noise. Be a little bit more tight on these entry points. Another push in the DAX. So the discipline comes in, because you look at that and you go, oh, maybe I'll just take the trade. But no, I've got to be disciplined. I'm just going to follow my original decision at the risk is too much. So I'm already at over an hour on the stream. I don't think I'm going to stick around for too much longer. I've got a little bit of work to do behind the scenes. I've got some emails to write. I've got some resumes to send out. And then start getting ready for the US session a little bit later on. So I think I'll give it another 10 minutes or so, just to see if there's any decisive movements. See what my thought process would have been if I was in the position, so that I can revert back to it during post-trade. You know, given where we are in the higher time frame, what's it look like on the daily? Yeah, so we basically just touched at 17,100 before bouncing a little bit. Wonder how deep of a retracement we'll see. A fair amount of agreement going on here. In the FTSE, so I'm happy with that for a first session. Got to use this new software for the first time. Received it yesterday afternoon, so I was just going through the paperwork, making sure that it was installed properly. And, you know, obviously you can't... I couldn't play around with it yesterday because the markets were closed, but just had a general idea for the settings. And then today was the first time actually trading with it, and I think so far so good. I think there's maybe one or two things. I don't think they're too serious. It's just I'm wondering why these levels change when I go into drawing mode. That seems weird. Does it change the price as well? Let me just see. No, it doesn't change the price. Okay, so it's just, it looks as if it's just a shift in the layout of the chart, but the price remains the same. So okay, so that's not a big deal. It just throws me off a little bit when I see the line move, but the price seems to stay the same. Okay. Good. Good, good, good. Just want to see on this setup, there might have been a prior bar. Yeah, okay, yeah, so this is a prior bar, which I think I've missed. Will it give me a second chance? Again, risk is a little bit high. What are we looking at there? 30 odd points. I'm tempted to buy it up here. No, I don't think I'm going to. But that is a prior bar low bar. So again, something that I have to work on, because I'm fearful now. After having made some points today, I don't want to give them back, and it's the wrong attitude to have. But again, on a small account, you've got to play it a little bit differently. So I think if I had placed stop loss underneath this bar, we would be coming very close to being stopped out. There may have been a bit of profit in it for a quick scalp on the first touch, but I missed that. Hmm. Yeah, so we would have looked long here. We've got this nice push up. And then a prior bar low bar, which it seems to be going, would have been going in our favor now. We would have been sweating down here a little bit, I think. Yeah. Here I wouldn't really look at it because of this consolidation. I typically like to have a bit of a direction first. That's on the 15. What is the 5 minutes saying? I mean, there's nothing wrong with buying prior bar lows and selling prior bar highs in consolidation. It's just I myself like to see a little bit of direction first. Yeah, we would have been smiling here now. Probably would have been out by now. 44 points. Yeah. Oh, that's a nice little push. So basically, like on the 15-minute, when I started noticing it, I saw this bar here, and the wick of this bar had just gotten down to kind of there, I think. And I like to switch to a lower time frame to see what that looked like. And that's where, yeah, we saw this setup here. Okay, well I think that'll about do it. There is another signal that is coming a little bit later on, but I'm not going to live stream now. Until then, I think the next video is probably going to be US session. I'll have a look at the next signal, which is the brunch break. Might trade it, might not. I'll see what the risk is doing at the time. If I do trade it, then I'll just update it in the next live stream for the US session. So haven't got a direction here yet as to long or short, but I don't want these streams to be very, very long, because when I have to watch them back, I get annoyed hearing my own voice. But yeah, that would have been a nice little prior bar low bar there. Hindsight is 2020, I guess, but I did catch it real time. I'm just not happy with the risk at the moment. Alright, cool. So I think I'll leave it there. I think An hour and 15 minutes is plenty. So I will be back for the US session. I'm going to do a little bit of post-trade now and send off 1 or 2 emails, and then look to get ready for the US session, which is not my favorite to trade because of the ranges and the volume, and my little account starts shaking in its boots, because there the risk can be even greater, and especially the way the Nasdaq moves, moves so quickly. So yeah, that was a nice little 34 point session. Could have been more if I was a little bit more, I wouldn't say confident, but if I wasn't so scared of the risk. This little prior bar would have been nice as well. And it seems as though we're coming back up and testing here. Let's see if we break that. Yeah, we have broken that. So that is very interesting. Looks like FTSE is starting to show a little bit of interest at these levels over here. Let's see if it pushes up. No, okay. Alright, well, I think I'm going to end it there. So if you do watch this, thank you very much. And I'll be back for the US session.